back, everybody. This is part 8 of the 2D platform gaming tutorial with James. In today's tutorial, we're going to expand the world and work on a camera following the player. Okay, so let's start out by expanding the backdrop. Select it in the hierarchy panel and scale it. Okay, and then we're going to move it over because we'll be moving to the right, not to the left. Okay, and you'll notice that our panels got really big. So what we're going to do is change the tiling on that material. In the materials scene, we'll grab the backdrop material and change the tiling to 80. Okay. We're going to duplicate the floor. So we're going to grab the floor object, press Ctrl D to duplicate it, and then drag it to the right. Okay. Now we're going to use our horizontally moving platform. We've got a platform here with vertical checked off, a max amount of 10, and a step of 0.05. We're going to move that just so it moves across the gap to help our player. We're going to want to set that so that the player can't jump across himself. Okay, so then what we're going to do is work on the camera now that we have this platform all set up. So we're going to go into the camera, and what we're going to do for the camera script to make it follow the player is actually borrow, or I guess use somebody else's code and modify it a bit. So we're going to go out, start up our favorite internet browser, and we're going to go to the Unify Wiki here. You can search for it in Google, just Unify Wiki, and this is what you're going to get. And we're going to go here, and we're going to go to the scripts link on the left and controllers. Now the script we want to use is a camera control, and we want to take smooth follow 2. Now this is designed to follow a ship in space at a 3D game, but we are going to make it 2D, just like we did with the first person controller. So this script is made by Vasilis, I'm probably butchering that name, and Daniel. Okay, so we're gonna just highlight and select the JavaScript. If you're using C#, that is down here too, and then there's the improved version for the C# as well. We're using JavaScript, or at least I am, so I'm going to copy this by highlighting it all and right click and copy, or Control C. Go back into Unity. In our scripts folder, we're going to right click and create a JavaScript and name this smooth follow 2. Okay, and we can open that up in MonoDevelop, and we can actually just highlight, select everything, delete it, and press Control V or right click and paste. Okay, so there's a couple of settings in here we are going to use and a bunch we aren't. Okay, so if I save this script, go back to Unity, grab my main camera, and drag that text on, or that script file onto it, we need to assign it a target to follow. So we're going to click and drag our first person controller on there, and then we can play the game. Now there's a couple of things that are difficult with this. If we play it now, you'll notice it really messes up our game really bad. Okay, so, and that's because of the 3D portion. So I'm going to teach you how to turn that off. So our player sits at a Z position of 0. Our camera sits at -10. So in the distance setting, we need to change that from 3 to 10. We need to turn off our height by setting it to 0. Turn off smooth rotation and change rotation damping also to 0. Not that it matters because we have it shut off. Okay, you'll also notice if we play the game now, it goes to 2D. But if I move, you can see the platform kind of rotates. And this is actually a pretty cool effect. You may actually want this in your game. When I jump, you get this weird flexing thing going on with the screen where you can actually see the top of the floor. Now because our floor is a cube and we don't have a material on it to make it look proper, I mean, I guess this looks okay. This is actually a pretty cool 2D effect. But I'm sure if you played this game long enough, it would get quite disorienting. Okay? It is pretty cool though. So I'm going to teach you how to turn that off. You can leave it on if you want, but I'm going to teach you how to turn it off. So in the script, I'll zoom in so you can see it. We need to turn off the rotation. We've just turned off the smooth portion now, but what we need to do is turn it completely off. So at the bottom of this update, we're going to say, actually, let's go up to the variables and create a variable for this so we can edit it in the inspector panel. And we're going to say this one is lock rotation, and this is going to be equal to a, or is of the type Boolean. Okay, so it's going to start out as false. Down in the update, we're going to say if lock rotation. That means, do we want to make it so the weird disorienting rotation is off? If lock rotation is turned on, we're going to lock the rotation of the transform. So we're going to say transform, because this is applied to the camera, dot local rotation is equal to quaternion. Okay, now quaternions are a special kind of math that I dare not explain because I don't understand most of it. But local rotation will only accept quaternion rotation math. I'm not sure why Unity's made this way, but what we're going to do is a quaternion object has a special thing that will let us put in our own rotation in, I guess you could say, understandable human English or math. So we're going to say quaternion dot Euler angles, and then we give it our x rotation, which we want to stay to 0, our y rotation, which we also want to stay to 0, and our z rotation, which stays at 0. So what this does is that every time it goes through the update, if the rotation is locked, it will set the rotation back to 0 instantaneously, so there will be no rotation in the game. Okay, so if we save this and go back to Unity, an error pops up, which Unity does to me all the time, and now we have this checkbox. So if we play the game without the rotation on, the game freaks out for some reason. Let's try that again. Not sure why it's doing that. Give me a second here. Okay, I'm back. I figured it out. When we do the lock rotation, we need to turn the rotation damping back up to 10 because this is actually going to matter when we lock the rotation. If we have it shut off, it won't matter, but if we want that cool rotation effect, this effect here where the ground wiggles and moves, then we have to leave that rotation damping on. But now we're going to turn it off with our lock rotation button and press play, and now you will see that our game plays the way it should, and our player is followed by the camera. Okay, and you can see as our world has expanded, we can jump on the platform here and ride it across to the other half of the game, and there we go. Okay, and let's catch a ride back because there's pretty much nothing over here. It's pretty boring, so let's go back over this way. Okay, so now there's a couple of settings we can change in the camera. Let's go ahead and change the height, see if that makes a difference. Let's say 5. So, we're kind of locked into this setting, but as you can see, the floor sort of disappears there. So that's why I like to leave that one at 0. We can change the damping. Now, the sharper or higher up you make the damping, the closer to the player's position it's going to stay. So if I set this at 20, say for instance, you can see that it follows the player almost exactly. When he jumps, the camera jumps, and it's not very smooth. Okay? If we change the damping down to say 2, you're going to get a lot more wiggle in the camera. Okay? So that's what the damping does. Now, smooth rotation and the rotation damping aren't going to matter because we have that shut off. If we turn the lock rotation off and turn smooth rotation on, that's when we get that really weird effect. Now maybe you like this effect, that kind of 2.5D. You can see the camera up here in the scene window is really, it's just tweaking back and forth. And this is a pretty cool effect. But like I said, it can get very disoriented when you're jumping over gaps and things like that. But that's basically camera control. So we've gone out to the Unify wiki, taken the Smooth Follow 2 script written by this fella here and Daniel, taken it in to the code, created a new Boolean so that we can lock the rotation of the camera, and edited those settings. So that is the 2D camera following tutorial for your world. Not a whole lot of difficult scripting going on. Just changing a few settings and adapting stuff that's already there to better work for us. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty much the tutorial. In the next one, we're going to talk about gaming limits, or the boundaries of our game. And thanks for watching.